Hi there. Let's continue looking at another amazing game which is shown for a brief moment in the Queen's Gambit Netflix series. So Elizabeth Harmon is taking the place actually of Bobby Fischer, and in the original Bobby Fischer game he was playing against Beth Larson, the Great Dane as he's sometimes called. So this was actually a game played in 1958 in the Portoroz Interzonal tournament, and I've actually refreshed my analysis for you guys today. So Portoroz Interzonal, very special tournament in 1958. It was the fourth FIDE Interzonal and the first one ever played outside of Sweden. It was a 21-player round robin with the top 6 players qualifying for the Bled, Zagreb, Belgrade candidates of 1959 tournament. So it was a very key tournament, and Fischer in this game kicked off with e4. Beth Larson played c5, and I'll emphasize when we meet the position shown on the Netflix series. So knight f3, d6, d4. It's an open Sicilian defense, and Beth is basically simulating Bobby Fischer. And yes, there is an idea that she reflects Bobby Fischer in a number of ways, kind of a lonely character at times, very self-reliant, having to be self-reliant, and there's a certain commonality between the two characters. So Queen d2, Knight c6. We see Fischer's trademark Bishop c4 move. Knight takes, Bishop e6. Bishop drops back. Queen a5. White castles queenside. So Beth Larson tried to get some counterplay with b5. King b1, b4, knight d5. We have bishop takes bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5. And here it's an interesting moment actually, theoretically, for the game. I thought at the time, and revisiting it, the picture hasn't changed here. It seems if black dared to play knight takes d5, and here there's a cheeky move, queen takes d5, white's best might be just to take this pawn and just accept a relatively equal position. But there are longer term prospects here. There is a potential pawn majority for white on the queen side once pieces get exchanged off. So it's a longer term potential advantage there, even though it's technically equal right now. But quite often white's queenside pawn majority is kind of telling later in these kind of positions if white can withstand the attack. But because the other pieces have been taken off, the attack isn't that ferocious here. So the possibility, if the game continued here, it's usually going to be in white's favour statistically. But anyway, rook ac8 was played, and we have the bishop dropping back. So this permits, quite a lot of tension in the game. And Fischer kind of condemned, this is, the Sicilian dragon formation. Fischer kind of condemned this quite a bit. Yeah. On occasion, he said, you just open up the h-file, sack and mate. So we see rook c7 and h4, queen b5, h5. The jury's out on the Sicilian dragon nowadays. There's much more of a theoretical basis to get, reasonably good positions with black if you know what you're doing with it. It's one of those openings where it really helps to know key games. It's so razor sharp. So we see rook fc8. If knight takes h5, bishop takes g7 and g4, this is very dangerous after check, this position, with an exchange sack here for g6. This breaks through to the king, basically. It checkmates. So black has to tread with great caution here and just ignore this. So putting a bit more pressure on the c-file. Seems a little bit futile at the moment, though, doesn't it? We see hg, g4, a5. But now, it looks like there's a pressing a4. We have g5, though, knight h5. But white is first to strike. Rook takes h5 here with this g6. It's pretty annoying, this pinned pawn. This bishop is a real dangerous piece in this position, pinning that f7 pawn. We see e5, g takes f7. So white has quite a lot of compensation here for the exchange. Yeah, I mean, this is just mega dangerous, this position, basically. The king goes to f8. If it looks just out of the question to play king h7 because of things like queen g5. It looks as though, you know, white's attack's going to be crashing through. So king f8 was tried. If rook takes f7, then queen g5, and because, you know, the black pieces are pinned, there's no real time to take this because of things like rook g1. So here, for example, where black tries to create an unpinning resource, this gets a really interesting position, actually, where black is fundamentally in trouble. Very razor-sharp variations. But, yeah, the two bishops are better than the rooks here overall. Yeah, and there's other dynamics going on, but white's better overall. So king f8 was played, and we see bishop e3, and this unveils the threat of queen takes d6, so that's kind of dangerous. We have d5. If rook d7 was played here, then bishop h6. White has quite a lot of time to attack the black king here, and it's quite perilous. It's going to win material. It's going to crash through. It's totally winning for white here. And yeah, white's king is in no danger whatsoever. This is just a completely winning position. So we see this kind of desperate looking d5. E takes. There's so much compensation for being exchanged down. The king's safety is really bad. Okay, black gets to play this, but d6, this pass pawn in the center, is a real menace combined with the king safety aspect. So we see rook f6. If rook d7, again, you know, this bishop h6 is a really dangerous idea. And for example, here, the white bishop can park there for a moment. And this is just crashing through. This position is just crashing through. Yeah, if bishop takes h6, queen takes, and this is just going to be end of the game. King f8, queen g8 is checkmate. Yeah. Now, so we are approaching the scene shown to us for a moment in the Netflix series after rook f6. Bishop g5, we see queen b7. And here, so this might ring a bell, this particular position, if you were looking carefully like a super nerd. You'd have to be really into chess to really want to study the position here that was shown. But in this position, so at move 29, instead of bishop takes f6, in the series version of the game, d7 was played, which is really crushing anyway, d7. And if we were going to be shown more, I expect it would have been something like this, because otherwise the pass pawn's, you know, crashing through with d8. So blockading the pass pawn, bishop takes f6, and, you know, it will transpose into the rest of the main game. So I'll show you that. So in the main game, bishop takes f6, which the series was based on. So d7, so we would have this position where Larsen had resigned, and if this had carried on, the king is exposed to a vicious attack here, for example like this, and then it will be mating like this, you know, queen g7, queen takes, I'll put it on the board, queen takes g7. So yeah, I think it's Kasparov behind these games shown in the series. They are really iconic games. So Fischer against Bent Larsen, 1958, Porteros interzonal. And Larsen, by the way, had played board 1 in the USSR versus rest of the world match. He was one of the strongest players in the West, apart from Fischer at the time, around this period, I believe. So, yeah, a really nostalgic game choice from Garry Kasparov. Thank you, Gary. If this is your choice, this is a wonderful choice. Yeah, so there's only one slight variance. Yeah, the cheeky variance in a totally winning position. Quite often there's more than one move to push, more than one way to win. And okay, so great stuff. And all right, if you want to check out, by the way, I've been busy. There's some courses here, Kingscrusher TV /chess tactics or /London system /opening tango. Amazing courses. They're getting great reviews. And if you want to challenge me for a game, Kingscrusher TV /Chess World. If you just register at Chess World, I'll be able to invite you for a game, you know, soon after. So check out those links on the Kingscrusher TV domain. Okay, comments, questions, like, share, subscribes with the notification bell, always appreciated. It's a must-see series, I must say. Yeah, The Queen's Gambit. You've got to get Netflix. If you haven't got Netflix, get Netflix just to see this series. This is what I'd call the killer application for Netflix if you haven't got Netflix already, if you're a chess fan. It's a must-see series. Okay, thanks very much.